Hello, this is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
Yes.
I've been here. This is the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat. Here with me, Kev Dillon, Lee Cadman, and Wayne Lewis. And what we're going to be discussing today is making our community a better place. And Wayne's been off doing loads of wonderful things, and he's going to be talking to you about that, positive things that he's doing, and what other great people in our neighbourhoods are doing. But sometimes we're not necessarily getting the gratification, the nod. Basically, we're doing so much good, and sometimes we're not getting the pat on the back that we need. So, Wayne, thank you, brother, for coming on.
Not a problem at all, mate.
What's your your page that you've been doing?
We're about to set up a page. I have set it up. I set it up last night, trying to get everything sorted together. And we've named it Positivity for Brierley Hill, Positive Future for Brierley Hill. Again, this will be for the local community and surrounding areas within the Brierley Hill ward. And this is to better the local area for any problems that arise in the local area. If it's a safety issue, then more people are more than welcome to comment, and hopefully we will get round to it, and give the people what they want, technically.
I mean, it's amazing, because we were just saying off there, like, how massive a place Brierley Hill is, and there's so many different nooks and crannies. And when you look at the Dudleys, and when you look at some of the architecture and the old buildings, how beautiful it could and can be.
Massively, it's got a lot of potential. I mean, Dudley's it's thriving in the minute. You've got so many new things that's going up in Dudley. So yeah, that's Dudley sorted. With Merrill sorted. The local towns could benefit. They really could. Over the years, they've just deteriorated, and the people are walking away from it and don't want to bother with it. We need to bring these people back to the local towns, to the local businesses, to support these local businesses.
And it's saying, like, because, and once again, we went to your shop the other day in Brierley Hill, and it's something I probably wasn't aware of. I know, because we're such a multicultural place, the Black Country.
Yes.
But how many tourists we have because of the Peaky Blinders coming to see
massively
the Black Country Museum, and then the shoppers coming to Merry Hill.
Yep.
But then on the way to get into the Black Country Museum, or on the way to get into Merry Hill, we come through the Brierley Hills of the world. And the reason why people necessarily don't stop is because of the litter, and the shops are run down.
Exactly.
But if we could make it a more inviting place, then they'd stop for a cup of coffee, they'd stop for a phone, they'd stop for a charity shop, a shop.
There's many social media posts floating about where the market's doing well. There's a few cafes in Brierley that are really thriving. There's so many new businesses that's opened up. There's food places. Taste of India is amazing. These new businesses, you can't really fault them. The old market, it's a massive attraction for people these days. So that's becoming something. So that's good for the community and the passers-by as well. So as we've said, we've cleaned up the high street. We took most of the litter off. We've tidied up in front of the buildings, and it's a nice place to drive through now. There's a big difference.
I think what you were saying the other day, like outside your shop, the shutters, just putting that bit of real nice graffiti. So it's not like Kev was here.
Yeah.
Having a proper artist, and what your vision was. Will you tell them about your vision?
Well, the whole vision for Brierley Hill needs a complete overhaul. And I mean, the way I've done my shutter, I had a professional graffiti artist. Now, I'm not a big fan of graffiti, but I thought I'd give this guy a try. I saw his work, and his work was absolutely amazing. I thought, let's give it a shot. Let's give the public something new. So one day, this guy turned up, and he did my shutter. And I looked to the left, and I looked to the right, and I'm looking at these shutters. I'm thinking, can I do that one next? Can I do that one next? And I thought to myself, look around me. These shutters look so old. They've probably been up since day dot. The whole high street could benefit from this. Even the old market's got a massive potential. They've got huge shutters. So why can't we dedicate these whole shutters to something within the historical periods of our time within the Brierley Hill, like Baxter Marsh? There's several other things that could be incorporated in it. This is what Brierley Hill Market's been there since the day of the beginning. And the rest of the shops, the high street premises have been there as well. So why can't we overhaul most events, so on night when all the shutters come down, it looks amazing. It could be another tourist attraction. People want to come take the photos outside this business. It's a trademark of their own business. It's a trademark of that high street for the community.
And it makes
Sorry, can I just jump in? I have to apologise. We had a slight problem with the Facebook feed. We are now on Facebook, but what we will do after we finish talking is we'll re-upload it to Facebook. So if you miss the first 5 minutes, it will be back on later.
what we're saying about is like getting the shutters having like themed like Black Country, Brierley Hill, local things graffitied on the thing, because once again, when we're out having a bevy,
Yep.
a bit of a nightlife, it doesn't just look like a dive, it looks like a real
Nice
sophisticated cosmopolitan kind of
Yeah.
feel.
It's positive.
Yeah.
You're smiling at it, so that again, your body's thriving from it. So this is something that you want to see also. So why can't we benefit from this? Some of the local businesses have rated the front of the shops, but they could do with that massive overhaul. I know most of the businesses don't actually own their buildings; they actually rent them from. Same as myself, we rent it through the estate agents. Others we rent it off the landlords. So there is a bit of difficulty there. So why can't we all approach them and see if we can push this forward? It look absolutely amazing.
And tell us about some of the good work that you have been doing.
Right, with the work that we've been doing, right, it actually started off from my shop in Brierley Hill, directly over the road from Home Bargains.
Do you want to give it a shout out?
Yeah, this goes out for my business, Smart Simple Repairs Limited, located 147 Brierley Hill High Street, DY53BU. We're open from 9:30 till 6 o'clock. Sorry, I closed early tonight. I know there's a few customers that turned up at last second. I do apologise to you guys. Again, it started off from my business. Now, once I've cleaned up and did what I've had to do, and I've caught up with all my work, I'll take a step outside on the front doorstep just to enjoy a bit of the weather, or get some vitamins from the sun, etc. And I'm looking to my left and I'm looking to my right, and I'm seeing it's really run down. So I cleaned up outside my shop when I got a spare 5-10 minutes, and then I've done outside my shop, and it looked absolutely amazing. I thought, wow, this is a big difference. It actually looks really smart. So I've looked to my left, and the next shop's letting it down. So I thought, I've got my wire brush. Did next door neighbours when he cleaned up outside when he left, and then I'll come back in one day and I've gone back out. I've done the next one and I've carried on. And then one night I just said, you know what? I'm going from my business. I'm turning left and I'm going right down to the bottom, and I cleaned it all up, and it just took off and blew off out of that really. And then someone approached me and says, you should post your work to Facebook. Now, everybody knows on social media that I wasn't one of these people to post all over social media, because I don't like my personal life on Facebook. You can call it anxiety, possibly, yes. Don't like to do it at all. I'm a bit wary about things because I may say the wrong thing at times. So I did. I posted it to social media, and it took off massively. The post getting shared, the positivity from the community, what they wanted. So I carried on. The night after that, I carried on, and I worked myself up to the high street. And so I did the whole of the high street technically in the space of a week, from top to bottom. Got a few donations together, bought a leaf blower, blew off the whole high street. Been trying to get out of the cleaner to clean the bricks. But it's a struggle being on my own with such a small team. So from there, I worked from Brierley Hill High Street. We cleaned up between the two banks in the High Street where Barclays and HSBC used to be. The trees were so overgrown, they were actually 4.5 feet over the pavement. So this was causing a public hazard with people with wheelchairs, prams, children. So we cut them right back, and that made a massive difference. So that was a heartwarming feeling there. So we'd actually made a difference to make it look better. So we took advantage of this, and then we went up to the top of the high street where the new old inn is, by the Silver Hill Chinese restaurant, and we looked outside there. The trees were so over, you actually physically could not walk down that path. You had to jump on the wall to walk around it. So we took it on ourselves, looked over our shoulder, and we thought, you know what, let's go for it. We cleaned up. Sorry,
Wayne, to jump in, but when we met, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, maybe now, the thing that really stood out to me and what really inspired me for the name for this was that you do it for your kids. You don't want your kids to grow up.
I do.
And me and Kev do our podcast for the same reason. I didn't want my son to grow up thinking that you couldn't talk about your mental health.
Yes.
We got to help the next generation along.
Massively.
And that really stuck with me. I thought he's right. We ultimately, Broiler Hill's going to be there for a long time. Hopefully, our
Yes.
kids come up and they grow up through it. So, do we want to leave them with a state of a place, or do we want to leave them with something to be proud of and something to get out there?
Put it in this perspective, even my own nan, she's grew up in the high street, well, around the area for a long, long time. And even my nan said, you know, over the past 50 years that she's lived around here, Broiler Hill has never, ever, ever changed. It's just deteriorated. I mean, okay, my mum was the next generation. My mum says exactly the same. The next generation after my mum was me, right? I'm saying exactly the same. So 20 to 30 years' time, what's going to happen?
Yeah, they're going to be saying the same, unless people step up now.
And that's what I'm doing.
But we also said at the time, if you want to have pride in your area, it's got to be neat and tidy. Because if you're sitting on a park bench and there's rubbish all around you, you're more likely to throw that rubbish on the floor that you've got.
Yep.
Whereas if it's actually nice and tidy around you, you're more likely to have pride yourself and drop that
course.
into the bin. And that, you know, no one should be littering. We're not saying that, but if it's in a state where it looks good and you are proud, you're proud of where you come from, you're proud that you've got a shop in Broiler Hill High Street, the knock-on effects, if it reaches our next generation, it'll go to the next.
You know,
it'll
it
go
does
to the next.
frustrate me though when you go somewhere and the bins are overflowing, or when you go there and the dog mess bins are overflowing. You're thinking,
Why?
Some people have actually tried to go to the effort to put it in the bin,
Yeah.
and that's something that we've got to allow. You know, check on the bins if they're full, empty them.
So we're not also the ones to blame here. There is all the people that are to blame here. They should be looked after. I'm not going to make digs at anybody, but they are there for this reason being. You know, they could look after our area and help us with it.
It's kind of a double-edged sword. When you come to litter, yeah, definitely the bin should be emptied. But if there's rubbish strewn around the floor, a lot of the time it's because people have thrown rubbish on the floor.
That's right.
So you know, it's kind of
We've all got to do our part.
That's it.
We
Yeah.
can't just go, it's your fault or it's my fault. It's everyone. It's in a collective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More we do together, and this is like we've said this about organisations and with people in general. We're all pulling in the same direction. We want to make it a better area.
Yeah.
So we have got to help one another to do it.
Of course we have. Of
I'll
course.
just say as well, if anyone does have any questions for Wayne, just drop it in the comments on Facebook and we'll read it out and no doubt he'll answer for you.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely. It's not a problem.
And I mean, obviously you said on that one day that you just went out, but has it been something that was that simple? You just went out one day and went, I'm just going to do my bit, or has it always been a niggling feeling saying you wanted to make a difference?
It's a bit of a tricky one because I've always been taught, how do I put this into content? So I like change, right? Basically, I get bored of doing exactly same things. So I like to see the difference at the end result. So I work with mobile phones, laptops, PC, etc. And seeing a smashed up bent iPad is disheartening. It's disheartening. So I like the change to see that looking brand new. So I try my very utmost best to make it look brand new, right? And this is where I get the incentive from, because I used to have a car as a kid. I always kept it clean. I used to love the result of it after I cleaned it, and it was something that was heartwarming. So it's positivity within yourself. It's that utmost feeling that you crave for. So again, I've gone on the high street after I've finished work because I don't sit at home. It's negative. It's not negative being at home. It's negative sitting there doing nothing, watching TV. You know, that's not me. I want to be physically doing something. I don't stop. Now, I used to have ADHD. I've probably still got a bits and bobs in that there. I was suffering mental health and this, that, and the other. So sitting there for me ain't me. You know, it gets me down if I'm
You
sat
fester in your own
Yes, massively. And this is when the problems start to occur. You start to get anxiety. You start looking over your shoulder. You start becoming depressed, thinking, what am I going to do? I've got nothing to do. I'm stuck at home. And I think, you know, I can't do that. It gets at me. It really gets at me. And I'd rather be out doing something practical. Now, let me jump back a second because there's something I'd like to say with a phrase of where we need to put our part, putting something in the bin. Now, the reason why we have the kids chipping in as well, because we're actually educating the kids to take pride in their area, so they can see we've done something, so they'll learn to pick something up off a project that we've done to place it in the bin. So that is teaching the next generation to actually look after it. So that's my change there.
And hopefully they pass that on to the next generation and so on and so on.
So I'm sorry to change the conversation.
No, but that's great because that. What's that saying? You know, you can give a man a fish, he's hungry, he's fed for one. You teach him how to fish, he sorts himself. And that's the same with passing knowledge on.
Exactly.
If like at the Lions here, if you see it there, if you see litter, you're more encouraged, as Lisa, to litter. But if you do it together and you teach people how to have manners and they teach it, you only know what you know if it's been taught to you.
Exactly.
If it's never been taught to you, how are you supposed to know any difference?
Exactly.
But if you are showing people to be proud of coming from here, and we don't throw at them because this is where we live. The old saying, don't shit on your own doorstep. You know what I mean?
It's what the same situation we spoke about before the show. You know, they need to teach me the ways. You're right, for me to educate myself so I can become who I want to be. But you've got to be educated again. I'm not educated enough to know what I need to be doing to correct myself. And that's when it gets to me. And like last night, I had a bit of a bad night within myself. My anger started flaring up a bit. The anxiety tripped over, and I thought, "Oh, what am I actually doing wrong?" You know, it's a step back, and I'm thinking, "Why do I bother?" But I shouldn't be thinking about that. I should be thinking about what I've just done.
Yeah, I mean, we find this if we get negative comments, we get anything like, you know. Ultimately, we're the same. We just want to help and hopefully inspire another generation to have a better life. Simple as that, really. And we do get negative comments every now and again. And in truth, I'm quite good because they're like, whatever. If you don't want to, there's only certain people in my life that I will listen to, whether it's good or bad. If everyone on who was watching now was messaging, "Oh, this is the world's great thing," it really wouldn't bother me that much because ultimately they don't know me. So either the praise or the negativity, it doesn't make any difference. The only thing I'd say, as long as you're willing to learn and adapt to constructive criticism, then you're well away.
People only see what's on social media. You don't see us within the project.
No.
You know, we are good working people. You know, I'm up at crack of dawn. I'll go to work 9 till 6. I leave the door. I'm out with a high-vis jacket on my back. Saturday night, I was out with my kids till 11 o'clock at night. My kids were safe. They was all wearing high-vis just for the stereo. But I mean, we had an amazing time.
But what an example you're setting your kids as well. How fantastic is that?
Of course, I want the legacy to live on, and again, to be educated enough to know to carry it on.
Yeah.
So the next generation would know. This is why we need more people on board. Even if you've got kids, you and your kids, grab a bag, a couple of bottles of water, just in case. Come and have a laugh with the kids. If the kids don't want to chip in, there's other kids to play with.
Yeah.
They can see from our example that we're trying to make a change for them.
Yeah.
But that's very old-fashioned, isn't it?
Yes.
Very old-fashioned where, and not being sexist, but it was the old girls would get out and they'd be off looking after the street, and the men would be looking after the kids. And it was...
The pub.
But it was...
Or off to war.
But it was that community. And we were saying like common sense, common decency, for the common good, where you would have the common good of the village, you know what I mean? Whereas we've got a park where our babbies can play, and we're all looking after each other's kids.
Exactly.
And then if one person goes and sets fire to the park, it is ruin for the community.
Massively.
But if you all show, and like we were saying this, some of our parks are so overrun with weeds or broken glass.
They're over 20 years old. Every park around these local areas, Broyhill, Dudley, Stourbridge, Wollaston, Lyde, many other places within the local authorities area, they're over 20 years old. You know, what it's about time with population, it's a demand where the population is getting bigger. We need bigger parks.
We need somewhere.
We need change
for kids to go. And I always said it's like the Lions Boxing Club. It's like a youth club because
yes,
we do boxing, but we give people something to do.
Of course.
And I love that saying, the devil makes work of hard lands.
Oh, massive, yes.
If you're sat there and we've got nothing to do, we find something to do. And that's normally breaking a window,
Yeah.
having a fag, having a spliff, getting pissed. You find something to do. But if you give someone an alternative, going, well, here's something positive. Even if everyone does it, some people will do it.
Of course.
And then I can either see you being positive and I can either follow by your example,
And that's what tends to happen.
or you have the other people who are jealous,
Yeah.
which will happen. But as
Yeah.
long as some people are following your example, then change will happen.
Massively. But some people don't benefit from this. They'd rather turn a blind eye at this. But as you said, the next person will walk down the alleyway and say, wow, these guys are making a difference. Positive will always outbeat negative.
It does. And people don't always talk about the positive, but just
No.
because, and this is a message to you just have to remind myself, even though people aren't necessarily mentioning what you've done,
Yes.
they've noticed it.
Oh yeah, massively. I mean, I've had several people come in and said they've been talking about this project that's happened on the corner of Fenton Street, and I'm thinking myself and smiling myself that they said that somebody done a fantastic job. Have you seen it? And I'm thinking to myself, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. They're in my shop.
We had
Yeah.
something
So
similar to that.
I approached him. I said, "Do you know that project? I
Yeah.
did it." She was like
Yeah.
frowning upon me,
Yeah.
making a judgment. So I pulled my iPad out and said, "That was me."
Yeah.
I said she was so grateful, and it was amazing.
We had something similar, didn't we? Our first radio show, funny enough, me and Kev were in the radio studio doing our thing, as you do, and one of the other lads went down to the green room, and there were a couple of older lads in there just saying, "Ain't these guys great?" You know what I mean? Just in there, just not aware that. It wasn't what we're doing.
That's where the amazing thing
it
from.
is.
And
It
that's what
really
I
is.
want people to think of now. And it's because I struggle with this. As I think, as good people do, we're thinking, I'm doing all this and I'm not getting anywhere. But just because they don't mention it doesn't mean they haven't noticed it.
Oh yeah,
And that's something we've got to remind ourselves of.
So this is going to come up in the next few days or weeks. It could take time, but I ain't finished.
No, I mean
I
you
ain't
can. The
finished.
great thing is as well with the work you're doing, you can see those side photos and actually how much difference it does make.
It's not just the difference that it's making; it's also stopping a major accident and incident. Technical forms. And if you want me to be official about it, I'm saving the council thousands of pounds against the insurance claims.
And we're all daddies here. And God forbid,
If anything happens to my kids, somebody's got to be held accountable.
someone fell over on the path, falls over, Jasmine falls over, bosh, it's a glass bottle, cut, scarred, marked, blinded. And
It
could happen.
Yes,
That's worst scenario, or So as daddies, I think before you are a father or a mommy or whatever, or a guardian, you see the world differently. But then,
yes, I've spoken to people without children, and that they don't see the world that we see.
but then you start noticing, thinking, and especially me having visual impairment and stuff, and you think that's a trip hazard. That's it. And I said to you, with all the good work you do, your brother's visually impaired as well. Just by doing a line on a step can really help a visually impaired person out.
Oh yes, and even when I said to this when we met in store, my brother's told me I've got to put a yellow line on my step. He's right. Yeah. He's right.
And what's that cost? One can could do Brolly Hill,
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I could send out a bulletin from the business, and I could ask every business if they want to come on board to make this little bit of a change.
That's what
it's a big difference. It's not a big difference to us, but it's a big difference to them.
Yeah, and that's it. And with me and Lee, honestly, we've gone on our mental health journey, and we're talking about certain little things in a disability world or in a humane world isn't going to cost a fortune, but it can make such a bloody difference to people. And you're thinking, once again, we're in 2021 in Great Britain. These aren't major things. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but little things can make people's lives so much easier.
So much easier. Just the slightest things, you could change something. You can make the world of difference to somebody else. As I said, I've been saying all through this the so-called campaign of what I'm doing, they see it as a campaign. I'm making the big difference. So why don't they come and bring me on board to help them to make a positive future for our borough? I'm not doing it for me. I've never done it for me. I've done it for my kids. I've done it for the local community. We need something different. We need change. We're living in the down times again, as you say. We're living in 2020, 2021. We've got amazing technology. I mean, You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Why can't we make this change outside?
Mm.
You know, we've got all the machines to do it. You
Yeah.
know, labour costs nothing.
Especially when you've got willing people who are so passionate like yourselves, like so many wonderful people we have here, and going, I'll help you. I'll give up my time for nothing. You know, maybe put some sandwiches on or give me a brew. We want this as much as you. And I think by having people like yourself and who has become a very good friend to the Lions and to me personally and Lee, Adam Davis, and he's got a defibrillator.
He's done really, really well. He is. You don't see a lot of what Adam Davis does, to be honest. And he's told me a few things of what he's done and what he does. And the guy takes on a lot, and he's right. It's a big borough. Bromley Hill Ward is not just Bromley Hill. It goes stretch of Amber Coat. It goes to the David Lloyd, and you know it's a big area. So I understand he has a lot to do, but this needs to be recognised massively.
Of course,
it needs to be. So I will say this one to the councillors or the council: you only see me from social media side. You do not see me from me, right? I've spoken to these directly, people, and you seem okay with me. I seem okay with you, but you're judging me from social media, and you shouldn't be judging me because you've seen the work I'm doing. So judge my work.
Yeah. Well, what we've said, like what we'd like to do in the big picture of loads of stuff in Italy, is hold like Q&As at the club where we can have from mental health to disabilities to make Bromley all bush, you know, where we have, make it better than having the higher ups with the people in the trenches and going, because I think 9 times out of 10, how we perceive someone to be and how they actually, and we're all like this, we all judge and create people, but you actually meet them and you go, you know what? That Lee Cameron's actually a lovely bloke. And now I've talked to him, we've had a brew, we've actually got so much in common.
Of course, we've had several conversations, and it just seems like, no.
Yeah, but we can do it if we do it together, can't we?
Yeah.
And I think together we can. Together,
massively.
Anything is possible.
Massively. We've proved this with the volunteers that we've had. You know, we've taken on big projects. I mean, the back of the police station, that's a good stretch. We've ripped that apart. The same again outside the front of the pub. You know, we had so many volunteers to help us. But together we can.
Yeah.
Anything's achievable when you come together. You can't achieve anything on your own. It's hard.
On that note, Wayne, people best to get in touch with you on Facebook if they want to volunteer.
Yeah, of course. If you want to inbox me directly, you know, feel free. My name's Wayne Lewis on Facebook. If you want to add my further group, it's Wayne Lewis Full Bromley Hill. I have announced that first group, but I haven't sent it live as of yet, but we will do in the next few days. This is to do like an organisation page rather than just a normal group. This will be contributing towards donations, actually making everything legit so I can actually get public liability insurance. So this is something I'm really struggling for, because the work I do, I'm struggling to get the insurance because I'm not just a basic liquor picker. I'm using my own tools. I'm using machines. I've got the kids about. We've got volunteers from me for either and everywhere. I've had people tell me to get them signed disclaimers, but at the end of the day, there has an accident been happened, and this accident has caused this person to be off their feet for 6 weeks, and he's took it in stride. He's proud of what he's done. He's proud of what we've achieved. You know, we've made a big difference. And he said, you know what? Well, we had a good laugh. You know, it could have been one of the kids. Yeah, it could have been one of the kids.
But again, as a daddy, you think that, don't you?
As a dad, you do massively, but it shouldn't have to happen, and that guy should have had the reassurance from, you know, other organisations say you're safe to do so. You know, keep up the good work. We've got you back. I mean, with the work that I'm doing, I think the local authorities should put me on their insurance because I'm doing their job.
I mean, where do you want this to be? Like, if we had like a 5 to 10 year plan, what would you like for yourself and your organisation?
Right, 5 to 10 year plan. Now, I'm a free, outspoken person. I study law quite a lot, and I see a lot of corruption in society, shall I say. I would like to change society as a whole, not just for the UK. I'd like to change it for the whole world, get rid of all these politics and all these silly rules that we live by. We live by, you know, each faith live by each rules, but yet we have a government that tells us another thing to listen to their rules. So, in theory, what I'm trying to say to you guys is with council tax, right? Council tax, I understand people have got to pay, we should have to pay on with that. We pay different sections, different kind of amounts. So we pay for the fire, we pay for the ambulance, we pay for the police, we pay for the care. That should be compulsory. But in my eyes, take it for principle off my bill. I pay £1,001 to Dudley Council Borough themselves. That £1,001, I should have the choice what I want to spend it on, right? So we should be given, as a whole community of a Brierley or Borough, the options like they used to do it in like the supermarkets of which charity you want to support for that month.
Yeah.
So for 1 month, there could be a new pot for a new area, and there could be something for the disabled people. There could be something for other people.
Yeah.
We should be able to put our money into different pots. So I understand to council tax, we pay for bins, right? So what I've learned yesterday, we actually pay for our schools. That's something else I'd like rather talk about later. So if you do not want to pay for your bins, then you should be able to take them to the tip and pay for them yourself. You know, there's that option available. So if you do not want to contribute towards the council tax for not paying your bin, you should be able to take your bin and dispose of it at your own cost. That's fair enough. So you can contribute to different charities or different projects around the local areas. So you know where your money's going. You know it's actually every penny because you've chosen where to put that money. And I think that's something for the community to have their own choice of.
I always think with a tip, you have to pay if you've got a van.
Correct.
I'm thinking, but the tip's where rubbish lives.
Yes.
If everyone could just take anything they want to the tip, then we wouldn't have as much fly tipping.
It kind of makes sense, Kev, but you also got a commercial side that will dump waste left, right, and
This is the
centre.
issue I've got with commercial waste. The local authority, I've been in business myself, the local authority will not collect your business waste. They make you pay for it, right? Now, they pick on the residents for making sure they recycle. Now, I dispose of a lot of cardboard, plastic, you know, the glass protectors come in cardboard sleeves, the phone boxes come in cardboard, my parcels come in cardboard. So the council get paid for taking our cardboard. I used to work at IKEA. I know it's £80 a bale, a 1 ton bale for cardboard. So the council are carrying money from this. So why not take the money from the businesses also for their recycling, their contribute towards making a brighter future and putting more money into the council pocket to fund future projects?
Well, hopefully this is a change if you get it, and this is the kind of change that you can
Massively. I've got big changes I'd like to impose.
What happened to that money, you know, when it was 10p a bag? Everyone was saying that money was going to save everything, and all of a sudden that's just disappeared.
Yeah.
And apparently we've got rid of 98% of plastic bags. So what we're going to do is charge people 25p now, and you go, but we've cut it down by 98%.
My cupboard's still full of plastic ones. What's going on there?
But we'll charge people more. But
Yeah.
at first it was, well, that's going to help artificial limbs. That's helping for.
But the businesses still have to pay for these bags.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
I think it's great what you're saying though, where you can put your money into the pot that you want to put it
Exactly.
in.
You have a choice as a community, right? Why should we allow? I'd like to be free and outspoken, so please don't take any offence to this. I class them people as a mafia, right? They choose and pick on what they want to do. It's their choice. As a community, as us putting money into their pocket, we should have our own voices heard and listened to for what we want to put fund to. It's as simple as that. Why have we got no choice in the matter? People wanted to keep the hippodrome. What's going on? You know.
And I think if you give people the choice, i.e., this week is going to make Himley nicer. This month is going to make Bushy Fields have some more beds. This week is going to be for cutting trees. And I think most people, if you give people a sensible 5 options on a rotary basis, you know what I mean? So, as you said, like in the supermarkets, you can then say, I want the Lions Boxing Club to have this money. Yes. I want the Scouts to have this money. And have that. So people go, all right, then, that's great. And then from that 5, or saying, I want to give 50% to the Lions, I want to give 10% to the Scouts, 5%, and work it down that way.
Of course.
Allow people to actually have a say where it's going. And I think that's what annoys people when we know there's so much out that needs doing and we know we're giving as much as the working class and people can
Yeah.
give. And you think, well, where is the change?
I've said this all along as well. The past 2 years, we've all been in lockdown. We've all been in lockdown. We've all been stuck in the house, right? So if we've been in lockdown, we've continued to pay council tax for 2 years, full council tax. Where's that money gone? Where's that money gone? That money could have funded all the green and maintenance of the local areas. We could have had these areas stripped back, ready for us to come back out. These were people, they could have worked on their own or a 2-meter social distance to bring that area back up to an appropriate standard so they can maintain it, because the public are not about.
And you did see people who, like some people are like yourself, and I've got very good friends. They say the worst day of the week is a Sunday, because Sunday's a day off, and they don't like being in their own head.
Exactly.
And when we had 18 months of that, whereas people were willing to go out and volunteer to do what you've done, cut, trim, paint, litter pick, to give people the option and go, all right then, we're in a bad situation here, but let's come out and have a better tomorrow. Let's have a prettier tomorrow.
We've all been moaning, but everybody was moaning over social media that we got bored in the house watching the same stuff. Guess what? They're still doing the same thing. You're still doing the same thing. So you're criticising yourselves. You know, come out, help us, do something practical. Look out your front door. Is it mess? Clean it up. You know, I'm not saying clean your own garden. Clean up the streets around you, surrounded. You have to live there. Your children have to live there. We don't have to be dealing with this. So let's do change. Let's make a change. And I mean, we could do so much more. As you were saying with the Lions Club, if they took a partial donation from this money that we've contributed from the council tax, we will be able to see the change that you're making within that place. So you're benefiting from this money. You could be funding another project for the disabled people, or rather the blind people, or incorporating some
The mental health support group.
Exactly. You could be, you know, pushing that forward. So except for the cost and the council money, it's actually, we've funded you, and you've took your own choice to fund something else as well, which is brilliant. So you're funding 2 things rather than just the one.
Well, I always say to people when people go, Kev, how can I give back? And I mean, never give back because I did it, because I love you and I love what I do. Always give forwards.
Yes.
As long as we're giving forwards, then there is always someone who's getting that love. And if we can do that in our community, to our people, and to our actual location, then there's always someone looking out for you and the area.
Yeah.
And that way, because nothing is one dramatic change will change the world. It's 100 little things that lead up to that epiphany.
It's exactly what I've been saying to other people. I've had several people inbox me. I mean, if I told you I've had over 100 inboxes with issues within the local area, I wouldn't be far off, or if not over. You've got to start off with the main ones first, public safety first, and you work your way to the little ones, and then after overall, you're still making that big difference with every step that you're making. Every step makes a bigger difference. Just take that into context. Forget about the work, one step at a time. But don't challenge it yourself. Make it as a team. I mean, I have grouped up with Gary Farmer. I'm speaking to David Malden, the Sedgley and Cosley Community Fair Group, and a few other groups local within the area. And these guys need to be recognised, because at the end of the day, they're technically doing the council's job. They're making a difference within the local area. And I think the council should be funding these groups a bit of money to say, listen, you're doing us a massive difference. You're bringing back, so they should be allowed to have tools to get what they want, to help towards, you know, making it a better, better area. And I think the council should jump on board with this and help these groups. And, you know, they're doing such fantastic things, and these groups need to be recognised. Again, this is just not me. There's several other people that's doing it as well, and they're doing it for near enough the same reasons as I'm doing. They're picking that crisp packet up, so your daughter ain't got to pick it up in 20 years' time.
Who's that girl she was saying about earlier? Your mum knew him as well, Lee.
It's just mentioned.
Oh, it was that him?
Yeah,
Sorry.
from Loy, isn't it?
Gary Farmer. He's doing, you know, he's done such a fantastic job. 12 months plus, he contributes to the rules. Like, he's done so much. You know, he gets the community involved as well, and he does it every single morning, every single night. And this guy become an inspiration to myself. You know, I took the advantage of doing exactly what Gary's doing for Briley Hill, because Briley Hill was run down as well. But then look at Loy. Loy is so clean; it looks so much better. I drive through it most Sundays, and to be honest, the difference is amazing. And even just to drive to my own business now on the high street, I can see the change. It looks so much cleaner. I'm proud of Briley Hill. I was sick of people slating Briley Hill and saying, "Oh, how much of a dog hole it looks." But at the end of the day, look at the change we've made. Please don't call it a dog hole. We're trying to make a difference. Be proud of your local area. Be proud to walk through a safe high street where it's been cleaned up and there's no hazards for the kids or yourself. And you can walk through with a bit of pride, hold your head up, and this is our Briley Hill.
And if you do still think it's a dog hole, then do something about it.
Yeah, and that's what I did. That's what we did.
I think that's it exactly. And I think there's a lot of that going on. We're too quick to go around. That ain't right over there. This ain't right here. But there's not enough people stepping to the plate and actually going, well, I can do something about that.
Well, how many times we've done this place up and they go, "Oh, Kev, it needs a good wallop." And we'll have same families down and we paint and we varnish and we clean, and the same 3 to 4 families turn up every time. Then on the Monday they go, "Oh, you've missed a bit." But we wouldn't have missed a bit if you'd have been here.
Yeah.
And that everyone's always willing to judge. Very few people actually put the money where the mouth is.
Well, this is a problem I've been having on social media the other day. I think we're all human at the end of the day. We do look at the negative comments. Now, take this from principle. I watched a film with the kids many years back. I think it's called Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph, yeah.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Then you got at the end where they look at that wall and it's got all the comments, and then Ralph actually looks at it, and it is disheartened from all the negative comments of how stupid Ralph really is.
Yeah.
Now, again, that's put down to reality. You put in these negative comments, you're the one that's actually causing this impact on this person because you're commenting this negative post, right? So that negative post is going to have a massive impact on this other person that's doing the work for you. So put yourself in their shoes. Would you like to be slated over social media for doing something good for you and your community?
Especially when you're trying your best.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying, but I can only do so much. I'm a little bit uneducated with politics, so I don't know how to go at things. So as I spoke to you guys just before the show, I had a message last night, and I took it to heart massively because now I don't know what to do. So you're telling me to do the right thing. I'm trying to do the right thing, and what can I do?
I think sometimes that's also the issue with social media, texting, all that. It's not face to face. Now you let me. I had to look at that message, and it could be that's a different conversation if he's in front of you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly
it
what you're
might be that it's.
And this is how I feel.
It doesn't read the same as saying it.
Being in front of people.
Yeah.
I think
we'd like to mediate here, wouldn't we?
Social media is the biggest weapon of everything. The biggest weapon. Social media shouldn't have even be brought into society. When I use social media, right, I'm going to put it in this context. I do not look at newsfeed. I use 2 icons on that, and that's the 3 lines and notifications. I do not look at the newsfeed because the newsfeed to me is just negative. You see other people retaliate against other people, so you're thinking, wow, what kind of world do we actually live in? I think this needs to stop. Social media needs to be banned.
To me, it goes a bit further than that. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it's how they can censor things that gets me. Censoring things stops the conversation. Censoring things, like there is certain things in the world that should
things, and they didn't like it. They banned me.
Well, that's it. There is very few things that should be censored. If someone's being racist, get them off there. There's no need for it. If someone's being homophobic, there's no need.
No,
they're off.
Well, just being cruel, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. But there's actually stopping a conversation because the social media don't agree with your political policy, or then me and Kev are double jab. But there's people out there who don't want to get a jab, and I fully respect that.
Yeah.
But I know they're stopping hashtags for saying no vaccine and things like that. And I think, you're stopping the conversation. You're stopping people like me and Kev educating you more about what the vaccine did when we had it.
Forcing forward rather than being patient with people.
That's
to
it.
prove, this vaccinations, again, people need to see the bigger picture of it, so people like to talk about it. So everybody, and this is not just for the vaccinations, this is work, everything. At the end of the day, we should have a right to speak. But I think social media is the worst part to be putting it on.
I remember that.
I'm getting judged by it.
In the universities, and they weren't allowing speakers to come in, whoever it was, be it the KKK or comedians. But in a university, you've got some of the most supposedly intellectual people in your society, to allow them to discuss it and then to go, excuse me, I don't agree with that. I agree with it, and have discussions. Because if we're not allowed to have discussions about touchy subjects, then it goes underground.
It's happened.
Point to talk about it, and it doesn't go nowhere.
But it's last week, wasn't it? We had Ed and John on, didn't we? And Ed and John, Ed's been in prison for over 20 years, and John goes around doing talks in prison. I can't remember the exact question you asked Kev, but Kev asked a question, and these two blokes disagreed. These two blokes who are friends disagreed, and it kind of took me and Kev back a bit that they'd disagreed, but there wasn't like, well, you're wrong. It was more like a discussion at the end of it.
And that's
You know what I mean?
done,
I think you even said something, didn't you, along the lines? It's great that you can disagree
and not fall
put
out.
your side across and not fall out about it, and that's
a
what
good
needs
thing.
to happen.
Yeah, but social media gets out of hand.
And we shout and we shout, and sometimes it's that old thing that we've won the argument. But what have you actually gained from it? And we have this with our missions sometimes. And you're like, and you've won the argument, but then you don't talk for 5 days. And you think, well, was winning the argument worth it? And sometimes you'll fall out with people.
People say with his missus. That's
I never win.
The only one, mate.
That's
The only
a
one.
lie.
I mean, set that into context where somebody told me, block this certain person from this group. So I said to my partner, I said, I don't block people. I ain't like that. If, for instance, a piece of work goes bad, I won't block that person. I'll try and rectify it as much as I can to fix the issue. So what's the point of blocking somebody on social media when you still got to face them in the high street?
But the same person will be brave on the keyboard.
It's two different situations. It's like, I can't believe you just spoke to me like that, but it should be banned. I'm sorry, but there is good sides of it. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
There's so many positive groups out
Well,
there.
no, you get a lot of your volunteers from post on. on
social media.
Yeah.
I mean, I ask for drinks. I ask for certain things, and people turn up. There is the benefit side for it, but I think social media plays a big part in society of people becoming judgmental toward us massively. Society has turned judgmental, and I don't understand why. We're being distant from each other. It's wrong. We should be coming together rather than being distant with each other. At the end of the day, we all end up in the same empty graveyard.
Yeah.
Well, brother, thank you ever so much for coming on today.
Not a problem.
I'm going to give it to you, give it to everyone else. Have you got any quotes or sayings that have helped you get on through life, or something that's stuck in your mind?
Mom said, if you don't ask, you don't get. And secondly, if they won't do it, do it yourself.
Well, thank you, brother.
No problem.
Tomorrow we've got our men's support group at the Lions Boxing Club, 7 till 9, as always. Anyone over the 18 any man over the age of 18 is more than welcome. Come, share your stories. As we always say, we're not experts, but we are experienced. Come and enjoy yourselves. Come and get it off your chest and be part of the conversation. This Thursday, we've got Marcus Leonard coming onto our radio, talking about mental health. And next Tuesday, we've got the legend, which is Debbie Slater from Black Country Women's Aid, who will be coming on to tell us all about going purple and raising money for domestic abuse, as well as many other things. And the Lions Boxing Club, we're going to be doing a Go Purple week to raise as much money as we can.
Well done, guys.
So, guys, thank you for listening. So, until we see each other next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.